Democrats taking a victory lap after last night's elections? Sure. The Democrat governor in Kentucky kept his seat, an abortion won in Ohio, and Democrats did give the Republicans a shellacking in Virginia. Except for that Democrat who also is a amateur porn star, she did lose.
But she got really close to winning. We get it. You can't say Republicans couldn't do the same if they had won, but what we don't get is how the White House can claim this.
Voters once again sided with President Biden's agenda to stand up for fundamental freedoms and build an economy for the middle class and protect democracy.
She must be forgetting that Biden's approval numbers are doing a swirly down the toilet.
So what does this all mean for 2024? Well, let's bring in editor-in-chief of The Federalist and Fox News contributor, the great Mollie Hemingway. Mollie, good to see you. So,
great to be here.
As a conservative, a little depressing last night. Democrats had a good night. What do you make of what happened last night, and what does this mean for 2024?
Yeah, I think it can be overinterpreted a little bit. It's true that Democrats were able to keep their very popular governor in Kentucky, but Republicans actually picked up a governorship in Louisiana, and they held in a competitive race in Mississippi, the governor there. And the Virginia situation, I think, has been overstated. I don't know if it was a shellacking. It was a hard-fought contest, and Republicans had some wins and some losses. It was certainly disappointing for Governor Youngkin, who had put so much work into it, but I keep thinking about what would have happened for Republicans if he hadn't invested so much time and energy in fighting for some of those seats. So really, it was the Ohio situation that I think was most disappointing for conservatives. It was a really radical constitutional amendment that's now in their constitution to allow abortion in really extreme scenarios. So I think the lessons there are that Republicans, they really do have an issue with abortion in that a lot of the country does want to support some protections for abortion or some allowance of abortion. But Republicans aren't really fighting for it like they need to, and conservatives aren't. They don't talk about it. They don't spend money on it. It's kind of unrealistic to expect to win any of these things when you don't invest in fighting the battle at the level that you need to. Some of these issues, the abortion supportive side is outspending the pro-life side by like 5, 10, 15 times. They're on the airwaves. They're talking about it constantly. And many Republican leaders have had this kind of head in the sand approach to it that is simply not going to work. Voters actually don't like the extremism of the Democrat Party on abortion, but you have to actually explain to the voters what the positions are.
But that's what happened in Virginia, and Glenn Youngkin deserves a great deal of the blame for it. He started spending his money from the PAC 3 weeks on ads after early voting started. Those ads didn't start running until October the 12th. In Virginia, he's just got to get gone. Mollie, wanted to get your take on the new report from the House Subcommittee on the weaponization of the federal government. They've apparently exposed efforts by the Department of Homeland Security to censor Americans' lawfully protected online speech. And turns out you were one of those people they sought to censor.
Yeah, it was shocking to see my name in some of this database of government censorship where you had government agencies setting up outside organizations in order to censor American speech. Sometimes that was jokes. Sometimes it was just true information and reporting. I and my colleague Sean Davis were censored for sharing accurate information about elections, and the information we got was just from a few days of censorship. I don't know if Americans realize how extensive the censorship of American speech is, how dangerous it is, and how much needs to be done to combat it. It's not just the government. There are these outside organizations and the social media companies, and it really does affect our elections when you're not allowed to talk about everything from how to handle a pandemic or how to handle election integrity or how to talk about trans issues or any number of the things that people might vote on. Censorship is a real threat to the republic, and it affects everyone because everyone has the right to hear information as well as to speak, and it's a very bad situation. So I'm glad that we know a little bit more, but I hope we can fight it better.
And those agencies that censor have to be defunded. CISA within Homeland Security. Republicans have to act. Mollie Hemingway, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.